Hey, it's Juan. Welcome to the September issue of your VMA SITREP. And we are shooting at the Capitol today with a really cool story from one of our own. This is Will Paige. And I'm going to share with you his journey to Deloitte. But I want to start by congratulating all our new promotes from every level, both vets, vet spouses. The list is below. Check it out. And next month we're going to we'll have the message from Garcia interview with two PP&D VMA new promotes. You'll enjoy that as well. Will Paige, thanks for joining me. Will Paige, you haven't crossed paths with him, has been with the firm just about a year.
Yes, sir.
He's a senior consultant here in the DC office, and Army vet, almost 20 years. He's from the Detroit area, enlisted when he was 17, which means his mom had to sign the waiver. Had a really cool career, both on the enlisted side and later commissioned as military police. He was also a drill instructor. You may have gone through boot camp and had to stare down the shadow of his Smokey Bear, terrifying you. But Will also graciously agreed to share a little bit of his story and his experience, as this month marks the 11th anniversary of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal, which those of you who were in uniform were following this at the time. There were predictions from some responsible leaders that this would have a huge negative impact on our services. I think the consensus 11 years down the road is it's had no impact, right?
Exactly.
And instead, it's allowed folks to be their true selves and continue to raise their hand and serve our country. Will, thank you for joining us, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Start us with your journey to the Army, right out of high school.
Yeah, right out of high school, went to Denby High School in Detroit, and knew that I wanted to join the Army fresh out of high school, and had to go to my mom and let her know that I wanted to do it, and had to convince her because the war was raging at this time.
What's the time frame?
This was 2003.
Okay.
So 2003, I graduated in June. My mom agreed to let me go, and I was in basic training at Fort Jackson in August of 2003. So not very long. Went down there at Fort Jackson and did the basic training thing. Met a lot of great people, and I was selected to go to airborne school. That was fun. Down there at Fort Benning, and I was assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division as my first duty assignment. That was awesome. As a young kid, you got to jump out of airplanes and do all this cool Army training. But as you pointed out, this was a time where, soldiers, gay soldiers, to be quite frank, we weren't able to be ourselves. You weren't able to bring your spouse or husband or wife or whoever to, a unit outing or whatever the case may be. So it was very scary for some young black gay kid from Detroit who mom sent him off to defend their country, to have to hide who I was and not completely be who I was. But this was life during the time of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Again,
Well, let me pop in there, because
Sure.
you raise a ton of compelling points. You're a 17-year-old. You've enlisted early. Now, your grandfather served in Korea, but you're new to the experience.
completely new to the experience.
Probably leaving the Detroit area for one of the very first times in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a big chunk of your life you got to keep guarded and secret. A whisper
Yeah.
from a colleague can end a career.
Exactly. Yeah, and that was scary. That was definitely scary. Again, you had to watch who was in your circle, because I heard, so and so was out with whoever, or I saw him here at this place, and again, as you pointed, that could end your career. So again, you had to be guarded at all times. You couldn't really share, if you were in some sort of relationship, or some sort of serious relationship. And that loomed over you. That loomed over me as a 17-year-old kid, deploying, who could have died, in Iraq or Afghanistan, the times that I went, and I wasn't able to be fully who I am. And obviously, very proud of that. But during that time, it was scary to be a gay service member. In my case, a gay soldier. So yeah, it was a very scary time. Especially my early years, young 17-year-old kid, away from home. It's scary, and in addition to that, you have to watch what you say or what you do, where you go, because as you pointed out, and which is true, that could end your career. Yeah.
Now, the repeal finally comes 11 years ago this month.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, you're assigned as a drill sergeant.
Right. Yeah.
Terrifying and shaping the Army's newest
For sure.
recruits, and this policy ends. Talk to that experience, what it felt like, what it was like on the ground.
Sure. Yeah, I was a drill sergeant down in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, from 9 to 12, and here I am, as again, a gay man who's who've done very well in my career at this point, but that wasn't good enough. I still had to hide who I was. Not only was I being promoted faster and scoring well and getting good evaluations, I just had to hide this one part of my life. I had to teach, here are the things that can get you kicked out of the Army.
Right.
Chapter 15 it was back in the day. And I never allowed, any of that to cloud my judgment or, make me teach a certain way. I was a big stickler. I was a standards enforcer. But I did think it very hypocritical of the Army to ask me to teach these things, but also have me send people to combat who can die, who cannot come home. So it was very confusing, but you just learn to live with it. You learn to hide very good, and you learn to live with it. But the repeal came down, and as you pointed out, we thought that the ceiling was going to fall out, and people were going to leave the Army, and the exact opposite happened. And I can tell you, as a leader in the Army at that time, I thought that it definitely made us stronger. Because we embraced our brothers and sisters to our left and to our right, irrespective of if they were gay, straight, or whatever. You're still able to perform. You're able to shoot your weapon, shoot, move, and communicate. That's what's important, not what you do in your personal time. And that's what I built my career on. Is I want you to judge me based off of my conduct, my character, and my performance, and not my sexual orientation. Yeah.
We were chatting before, and you made a really important point that for all the challenges across the armed services and the DoD, in some ways, historically, we have been out in front of the rest of the country on these major trends. Would gay marriage have happened at the pace it did without the Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal? I think it's a fair question.
I think it's a fair question as well, and I don't think it would have. As we pointed out earlier, it's the integration of blacks in all white units. It's the integration of women. It's the repeal of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It's the Marriage Equality Act. And if you go back and do your homework, the DOD, we have, for the vast majority in most recent history, we've led the way on that. And it says a lot about our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, everybody, that we're able to put those policies in place early on and do it with professionalism, as we have. And again, I think that has made us stronger. I think that it's made our armed forces better. And we can be now, we can be the leader of the free world, and not just in what we say, but also in what we do.
Well, thanks for sharing this. Really insightful. Congrats on your journey.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you. And I don't say that about a lot of Army guys. So it's just say.
I'll take it.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.